Hello and welcome back to That's What He Said. Today, we're talking about the truth, talking about how it hurts sometimes. Today's quote is, "Truth hurts sometimes." Now, I know this sounds a little bit harsh. I know this sounds like kind of mean, and sometimes you're like, well, if I tell the full truth, like, will that offend somebody? Will that make them upset? And obviously, like, no one likes to be hurt. But what my dad meant is that honesty, like, even when it stings, even when it's difficult, it can be one of the most powerful gifts you can give. One of the most powerful gifts. It can also be one of the most important things you receive, because sometimes the truth is exactly what is needed to be said or heard, etc., to set you free. So with all of that being said, that's the tone of today's episode. We're talking about the truth, authenticity, honesty, all of that. So yeah, let's do this thing. So I am, if you know me even in like the slightest, I'm a very sensitive person. Some like to say in touch with their emotions. If I'm being honest, I'm very sensitive. I get my feelings hurt pretty easily. I care a lot about what other people think, especially my dad. So I can think of many times growing up where my mom and him both did this, but he would look at me and just be like, "You're being irrational." Which, like, I know sounds harsh, but it's needed for somebody like me, because, like, I tend to get in my head. I'm very sensitive. I'm sensitive to a lot of things, and I take on a responsibility for emotions sometimes that, like, aren't my job. Like, you can't be in charge of everybody's emotions. I can barely handle my own. So it's like working on that. And sometimes he would have to look at me and be like, you're putting too much into this and they're not appreciating you, or this friend is not a good friend to you, or like these truths were something that at the time I'd like walk up to my room and be like, "Oh, he's so mean." But like it was so needed to like be able to hear the truth from him. And even now, like when we're doing something, he'll be like, "No, like you can do this." I'm like, "Oh, but I'm doubting myself." And he's like, "Well, that's wrong. You shouldn't be doubting yourself. That's the wrong feeling." And I'm like, "Awesome. Okay." And then I change my perspective. But sometimes I need that kind of like kick in the butt to just be like, okay, I know that I'm being irrational, or I know that this is not what it's seeming to be, or this is not an environment I need to put myself in, a relationship I need to have. Like, I would give the shirt off my own back, and he would too, but obviously he has more of that discernment and wisdom to be able to say, "No, this is not a good situation for you to be in, so don't put yourself in that." And I go, "Are you sure though?" And he goes, "Yes, please listen. Like, this is the truth. Obviously you're not thinking clearly because there's some emotion involved." And that's what I've been working on. And I think that's something I've always been able to like kind of be a little brutally honest. So like my mom has helped me work on tact. My dad has helped me work on setting boundaries. And that's just kind of how it rolls. So if we break down this quote, truth hurts. Yeah, honesty can sting. It can cut through those illusions, and that, like when I had the denial of like, no, they're a good person. Like I've been in relationships where my dad was like, "He's not nice to you." And I'm like, "Oh, he's just having a bad day." Like, no, cut through that. Truth hurts. You can cut through that illusion, that denial, that excuse, whatever it is. It kind of pokes at our blind spots. So when you say truth hurts, when you're giving the truth to somebody, it can cut through those blind spots. Like I used to make excuses for people I was dating, but it was like, no, they're just not right for you. And that can sting and that hurt. And there were times, I'm not going to lie, like there were times where I'd sob. I was so frustrated with my dad. I've written him letters. It was horrible. And then I realized finally that like my ego was resisting my growth. So truth can hurt because sometimes, and I'm saying this as somebody who's lived this, like my ego has gotten in the way of living in that authenticity and that vulnerability, that truth, that light. And instead I chose to have like the denial and the excuses. So if you want to give somebody the truth, it will sting at first. It really might. It might hit a pressure point and that hurts. But it is so crucial to give that life-giving truth, because if you don't, you could be causing them some protection in the long run, some clarity, some needed advice, so that when they get to a point and they're like, wow, they were right, like they knew, and you helped them. And that's like your goal, is that you don't want to be somebody who spouts lies. If you want to encourage people, that comes with giving that hard truth. And I'm not saying say like, oh, they suck, or like if they're in a bad relationship, be like, this is a waste of your time. Like there's a tact to it, obviously, But if you're not giving the truth, if you're saying, oh, they're so great for you, and they're like really not uplifting to that person, it's like you're not giving them any positive, uplifting truth. You're just giving them what they want to hear. And not everything in life is just what you want to hear. Sometimes the truth can sting. And that sometimes, like, pain isn't the point of giving truth. The truth doesn't always hurt. But sometimes, it can heal immediately. And when it does hurt, it usually means you needed that advice. Like my dad with the Dream Manager with me, there was, at the beginning of it, I was like, I kind of want to do this, this, and this. And he's like, honestly, Faith, you're not dreaming big enough. I'm like, jerk, I am dreaming big enough, until I realized, oh my gosh, I'm not. And I have all these opportunities now because I didn't ignore that advice. I listened to the truth. And even though it stung at first, that was one that it kind of didn't really sting a lot. But then I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I will dream bigger. Maybe he's right. And he was. But it could even be as big as this relationship that I had been in before, where my dad was like, this isn't good for you. This is hurting you more than it's helping you. And you're not supposed to be in this because it's not uplifting and it's not your person and you would feel differently. And all of these things that were the truth. And I just kept making excuses for both my actions and the other person's actions until I realized he's right. And I wouldn't have grown if he didn't take the risk of giving me that truth. So take the risk of giving truth. You never know when you could save someone from a situation if you don't give that truth. So with all of that being said, the goal of this idea, or I guess the theme of this, is that when we avoid truth to protect someone, what we're really doing is avoiding it to protect ourselves. And that's protecting ourselves from their reaction, their discomfort, and even the possibility that they might be upset with us or it might sever our relationship. But when you love somebody, honesty is the highest form of respect. Saying those hard things with compassion is what creates trust. It's what creates depth and that real, genuine support. So honesty is a couple of things. First off, we know it's support. Telling someone the truth helps them see the reality of a situation and helps them make those changes. So honesty is healing as well, though. So those lies and those half-truths that you think are helping people, they're really delaying healing. So that truth opens the door to healing. And honesty is freeing. It's, when somebody tells you the truth or knows the truth, they're no longer trapped in that lie, that confusion, that illusion, whatever it may be. They're no longer trapped in that, because you took the risk of telling them that honest truth. So how can we live out this truth hurts idea? And truth hurts sometimes, I should say. Check your heart. Don't use the truth as a weapon. Use it as a tool to build someone up. Obviously, we want to have tact when we tell the truth. So asking yourself, am I saying this to help or just to unload or, get my emotions out? Make sure that you're telling the truth well with your heart and that it's not just an emotional lead of like, I'm upset with this. It's something that will help the other person. Always lead with compassion when you're telling the truth. Truth and kindness, they're not opposites. You can be honest and still be gentle. So remember why you're telling that person. Make sure your intentions are positive with them and with yourself so that you're able to feel better about the honesty as well. And also, as much as you're giving that truth, be willing to receive that truth. When somebody gives you feedback, resist that defensive urge to say, is there something like wrong with me? Like whatever it may be that like sometimes I get in my head about, maybe you guys do too. Allow yourself to, ask, is this something I need to hear? And be accepting of that. As much as you can give the truth, be willing to take it as well. So when you shift your mindset from that, from being open to the truth, even when it stings, that allows you to grow as well. So then you're watering each other in that relationship. Overall, from all of this, my dad's words kind of allowed me to remember that the truth is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to set you free. And yes, sometimes it stings. Sometimes it stings so bad, you're down on your knees, you're crying in your kitchen. And I'm definitely not saying this from experience, but that pain is usually the start of healing, the start of growth, the start of that real transformation. So the next time that you're faced with telling somebody the truth or you're worried about it or maybe receiving it, remember this. That sting, that hurt is temporary, but the freedom on the other side of that truth is beyond worth it. So allow yourself to grow and give that growth opportunity to other people, even if the truth hurts sometimes. It can also heal as well. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this is inspiring to you guys. I hope that you take from this something that I've taken my whole life, like learning that tact from my mom, but also that there is a truth and life-giving honesty with all of that and a freeing sensation with that. hopefully you guys can take something from that. And with all that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week on That's What He Said.